Let's talk about what's been happening with the consumer lately. On this chart, what you see, this is measuring loan delinquencies. And when you look at household debt and loans, student loans, you can see on the very right of this chart that actually things have started moving up. The mountain is increasing there, which is a sign that delinquencies are increasing. And where we're seeing the largest amount of movement is actually in the 90 days late section of this chart. So not only are people falling a little bit behind in their payments and their credit payments, it seems to be going farther out, which is a concern to us. The severe delinquencies relate to credit card, auto, and student loans are mostly happening among the younger and lower income borrowers. So overall, this isn't an issue yet, but the fact that it's trending up is something we want to keep on our eye on moving forward. Let's talk a little bit more about the consumer here. On the left side, you see this chart talks about basically three pillars of growth in the United States. The blue bar here represents that the consumer represents about 68% of the total growth in the economy. So if the U.S. consumers are buying, things are looking well. Businesses contribute about 18% to the overall growth, and the government contributes about 17%. So you can see how important the consumer spending in the United States is for the growth in our economy. And ultimately, you also see that trade is a negative 3% on this chart. Trade traditionally has been a negative because we tend to import more than we export. So it's a little bit of a drag on the economy as long as we become an importer as opposed to an exporter. When we look at the right side of this chart, this is a comparison between 2024 and 2025. And 2025 is represented by the dark blue, 2024 by the dark gray bars. You can see the actual overall growth of the economy last year went down to 2.1%, where it was 2.8% in 2024. So the economy overall did slow last year. Is that bad? No, it's still growth. It's just not as fast of growth as we saw a couple years ago. And then we look at the consumer. You see the consumer is spending less in 25 than 24. Businesses spent less in 25 than 24. Government, big change there because we did a lot of revamping of the government, and there was quite a few layoffs, Dan, in the government sector in 2025, which actually improves the balance sheet from a growth standpoint. It does have a negative impact to overall growth. However, one of the little tailwinds you see is trade actually improved in 2025. So overall, this is something that we think we've got to pay attention to depending on how long this war drags out and how long there's a constraint on oil and gas. It's going to put a constraint on consumption and continue prices being higher than what we've seen in the past. We don't believe that's going to continue. We believe that overall things are looking good, but it's something we're watching.